Fred and Anchor, you don't have one with a big window yet? Hey, he's clapping. All right, good. All right, so here's the thing. One of the things Lowry did really well in order to keep it from being confusing, if you have a big window instrument, to the right of that instrument, you have a button called Feature Clear. Oh, hi there. So when you touch Feature Clear, and unfortunately you're probably not going to be able to see the screens, but there are 11 pages of information that you scroll up or scroll down to that are really going to help you with certain things. Now, Andrew, I don't know what low system resources means. Oh, well. Anyway, can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, no problem. So there's 11 pages. And so what's going to happen is on some of your instruments, you're going to see where you have a blank space. The model above it, that blank space is probably filled in. The critical stuff, I think is critical stuff, is all in the same place. So let's go to page 10, for example. How many of you have had to do a reset, a total reset on your instrument? Show of hands. Nobody's ever done it. John, does that
I
sound
see all sorts of
believable?
hands up.
Are there all kinds of hands up? All I can see is me. Can I see them instead of me?
Yeah, you have to hit, here's a good instruction for everybody. If you want to see a gallery view, there's a button on the top right of your
There
screen.
it is.
There you
Sorry,
go.
does the low system resources say anything to you, Andrew?
I would make
Sean,
sure you
low
have all the,
system resources.
I would make sure you have all the programs on your computer besides Zoom closed. If there's other stuff running, maybe that's why.
Okay, so we'll go back to, all right, so for example, on page 10 is your total reset button in the screen. Now, if you do that, you are going to erase everything you have saved in your instrument, but sometimes it just needs to be done. So if you've ever had your instrument just get wacky for no reason, that often is the cure, and it's an easy cure. I'm seeing nodded heads, so we've done it before. Sometimes, especially, I don't know, most of you down in Florida, we have power surges here on a regular basis, and when we have those power surges, sometimes they just get the instrument goofy. It's a 2-second fix, right? So if I touch reset, it's now saying, do you want to reset those bank presets that you have, A, B, C, D, maybe E, or you just do a reset on the entire instrument? When you touch, that'll probably screw us up with this, right, if I do a reset? Okay, so if I touch total reset, it is going to ask you to confirm it because, again, you're going to lose anything you might have had saved there. So I am not going to do it because I'm not sure how it's going to affect this Zoom meeting, so I'm going to back out of it and go back to page 11. So clock timer, anybody ever start to sit down to play the organ for 10 minutes and it turns into 2 hours? Hi, Joe. Has that happened to anybody else? Anybody ever miss a doctor appointment or anything? I know I have. So you
All
go
the
clock
time.
timer. What's
All the
that?
time.
All the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So now you can tell your instrument, hey, I'm sitting down for an hour. I gotta leave right at the end of that. So you can go onto your screen on page 11. You guys all taking notes? I don't see anybody taking notes. I see that one person up there taking. Anyway, so you can go to off time and change it to 1 hour and tell it to be on. Now, exactly 1 hour from now, this organ's just going to turn off. And a quick, kind of cute story about that when this is a Stardust I'm sitting at. When the Royale came out with that, it has a wake up time also. And so I sold one to a gal in the other coast of Florida. And I said, so she was from Kansas. And I said, what do you miss the most about Kansas? And she said, I used to wake up to roosters and hens and all the farm animals, cows, things like that. And she goes, I really kind of miss that. And so I made a recording of all those farm animals. I said, what time do you get up? And she said, usually it's 6. Well, I didn't have the nerve to do it for 6. But I did set it so that at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, it automatically turned on. And here's all the animals making all the noises. I can tell you that she loved us from that moment on, or maybe a moment after that. But she really did have a good time. All right, so also your clock. So many of you have where you see the time of day on the clock. Either it's on page 11 and you'll see it says clock, or you can just physically touch the clock in your screen and set it to the right time. Don't set it to Arizona time. Right, Sean?
Well, that's usually what I set mine to, but that's just me.
Okay. So I'm scrolling around looking for more stuff. All right. What about page 9? Now, I'm going to tell you that page 9 is my absolute favorite page. So we can do things on the foot switches. I'm trying not to cough. Sorry, choking on water. We can do different things for the glide switch. Who has trouble with the glide switch? Anybody? I know Andrew doesn't. I do. All right. Instead, we'll go to pedals, natural, and black, which is also on page 9. Now, I have sitting here a customer who just got a new instrument. To be able to start or stop a style, it's hard when you're new and you're trying to reach over and touch a button. Instead, you can tell the natural color one, for example, to start and stop. So I touch it right after I tell it where to be a pedal controller. Hold on, guys. Be right there. Right after I cut my guys. All right. I got one down here. Thank you very much. Sorry, guys. All right. We go back to page 9. We want to tell it to turn on pedal controllers. We can tell the black pedals to be something completely different, and it doesn't matter which one you hit. Who would think of something they'd like? We have start stop. We have transpose up. That's popular and a lot easier than trying to reach over here or over here to hit the transpose button. You guys agree? Maybe. Try it. All right. So let's. How about a shortcut for reverb? How many of you like your reverb or use the reverb? Press and hold feature clear and go over to your reverb button and touch it, and now all the different kinds of reverb come up. That's a shortcut, works So now you have auditorium, ballroom, stadium, club, church, cathedral, and you can hear it and decide which way you like it. Often when I'm playing it, what I'll do is I'll record it and then play it back, and I'll play with these different reverbs and then say, ooh, I like that. I like this. It's fun seeing so many of you that I haven't seen in a while, including Marlene. Anyway, all right, so that's a shortcut. How do we do it? Sean, did you know that shortcut?
Sean's not here, but I knew it.
You did know that?
I did know
Very
that.
few people seem to know that. Yeah.
There are a
That's
lot
a
of
good one.
shortcuts
You like
on
that
the
one?
internet.
Yeah, there are. And
Can you
they work
repeat
on
it?
the next one and the one above it.
Eric,
Can I
someone asked
repeat
if you
it?
could repeat that.
Sure. So a shortcut, because you can come over to your reverb button on the left side under your graphic mixer, and you can increase it or decrease it, but you can't change the style of reverb without going in the window, and it's simpler just to press and hold your feature clear button and then reach over and touch reverb. And now I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 different styles of reverb. So ranging from a big cathedral sound is going to be different than if I have a nightclub sound. Did that work?
So what did you
Were we
press?
asked
You
for
press
those?
feature and then what?
Feature clear, and then on the left side, press and hold feature clear. And then on the left side, touch the reverb button.
Okay.
That's really cool.
So here's what I'm going to do, folks, before
is
you go to
cool.
the next topic. I'm going to spotlight. I got a close-up on the window here. All right.
Cool.
All right. Can you see that okay? Ramon, Eric, can you see what's on the screen here?
Still, can you get any closer to it?
Let's see.
Yes, I can see.
That's about, it's about as close as I can get. Okay, so this one I have two windows, but this side over here is what's going to be similar to just basically everybody with a single screen, or even if you have the double screen. So I'm going to push and hold the feature clear. And then I'm going to reach over and hit one of the reverb buttons and watch what happens. Boop. Now, it doesn't make that boop noise. That was an extra sound effect on my part. And then you
What
have...
button caused that?
What's that?
I said, what button caused it?
It's a
boop
built-in
sound?
human button. Whenever I push certain things, I go,
see.
whoop,
Cool.
whoop, woo. I like to have fun pushing
Got it.
buttons, so I throw in my own sound effects. But you'll see here, these are all the different reverbs that you were talking about. These are different settings, whereas over here is the amount of reverb that you're referring to. So as an example, I'm going to go over to my left side of the organ here, and I'm going to put on just a organ sound, okay? And this is an organ sound without reverb. Okay? So you hear it's very dry. Now I'm going to turn up the reverb. Now if you hear me kind of echoing in the background, that's because I think Eric's speaker. I'm going to mute you for a moment, Eric, okay?
Okay, yeah, great.
Just unmute yourself when you come back on. All right, I shouldn't be echoing now. Okay, so listen, now this is without reverb. This is with reverb all the way up. Okay, now that's the club, and here's sweet sound. Now, can you kind of hear how it just carries? It's not a sustain. Auditorium, let's see what that one does. Let's see what this one is. Stadium. Oh. And each one does its own little effect, okay? And this tells you how much of that. So if I choose cathedral, here it kind of just carries out. And I can tell it how much or little. So Eric pointed out a really good point. Most people, when they don't even mess with the reverb volume over here or amount, and they don't even know that all these other reverbs exist. And the best way to try it is just put on something. You know, if I put on a you know, just a classic Franken account here. All right. Listen with the just drummer. Now if I turn it off, now what was that trick again? You push feature, hit the reverb. Now see how it came up? Now what I'm going to do is put on club. Now right now there is no reverb. See, it's dry. Now if I put on the volume all the way up over here and I select club, and you get different effects. So anyway, I think I talked too much on that subject, but I wanted people to see it up close. I'm looking at my, okay? So these are all the different settings. Now, which one works for you? Which one works best? The answer lies in just pushing it and playing it. And if it doesn't sound good to you, then that doesn't work. And then you can control it. All right? Now, I'm going to spotlight the video back to you, Eric. And you can unmute yourself. And back to you, Mr. Eric Garson. There you go.
Am I back? Unmute myself. All right, can you guys hear me all right? On? Yeah.
You're good.
Right. So that's such a huge thing, and you know, Robert brought up a really good point. Which one of these reverbs do you like? And you know what? That may not be the same one that I like or Robert likes, but they're your buttons, and how you hear is a whole different thing probably than how I hear. Heck, I got one here that works completely different than the other, so I like a lot of the reverb. How would I save that reverb?
How would you save
I
that?
bet Robert could answer that.
You know what? I think you probably know the answer better than I. How do we save that reverb?
Well, if you find a reverb setting that you like, you can then go to one of your bank presets and just save it in there. And go back and change it. It's like the equalizer. How many of you have an equalizer on your instrument? Overwhelming majority. People seem to turn it on for no apparent reason. You know, if you're on tile, you're going to have a whole different scenario than if you're on carpet, blinds versus heavy drapes. Probably not now. Anyway, so what I recommend there is start playing a song, record the song if you can, and then go ahead and touch your equalizer and try some of the different sounds through it. For example, if you have a high frequency hearing loss, like I do, I like to use brighter often. But if I'm on ceramic tile, it's too bright, okay? I can hear the difference. You can hear the difference by going to equalizer and trying these. I can't tell you how many customers' homes I've been to that the equalizer's on, and I'll say, why do you have the equalizer on? And they go, I have no idea.
Can you see that there, folks?
So you might. So play with it. I mean, it's a great tool, and you've got it. You paid for it. You might as well try it out and see how it works for you.
So here's what's here's what Eric is talking about. I don't know if you could see that there in the window. Let me put it in full screen here. Give me a second. Okay. So can you see that? It says bright, brighter, classic, less bass. And you'll see the lines to the left represent the bass. The lines to the right represent the high. So in this case, Sparkle has more highs than it does bass. Mellow has more bass lines up. Bright and brighter, you could see where the what they call the mid-range and the highs are all the way up. But that's what the equalizer looks like. And you can save that on a preset as well. Is that what you're saying, Eric?
Right.
You could also save it on a custom
Absolutely.
button if
And
you like.
you can also what?
Save it
Put
on a custom button.
Yeah, all right, we can do that next, but I want to just say one more thing about the equalizer. If you live in a place where you have a neighbor right next to you, guess what they're hearing? They're primarily hearing your bass. So one thing you can do that's nice with the equalizer, if you're playing late at night, you can hit less bass, or you can reach over to your bass button on your graphic equalizer, bring that bass down. In many cases, you can touch the two together and it will lock it at a lower level. Have you had anybody bang on your wall going, you're making too much noise? Because, Robert, we still have that service where we come over and bang on people's walls?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'm just checking. I know we have it in Florida. I wasn't sure if you have it in Arizona.
I don't know.
All
People
right,
bang on the wall
so
when I play all the time. I don't know why.
we can hear you from here. You're 3,000 miles away.
Good.
All right, so that's an easy feature to use and one that so many people don't. And if you have an A series then or above, then you have a button that says virtual speakers. Robert, can you zoom in on virtual speakers?
Let's see if I can do that. Now that one's going to be a little trickier, but I've been known to be put to the test. And hold on, because my camera angle is not set up for. Okay.
On purpose.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Is it over there?
It is. I can see
There
it. We're
it
getting
is.
close.
There it is. Right there.
Now, for some reason, the default when you turn it on is not to turn that switch on. And yet then you're eliminating all of your virtual speakers, typically in the upper part of the instrument. And there's a huge sound difference. I'm not quite sure why the default was off. If you have a double screen and you have the ability to save those presets, make sure that's on. But the next biggest thing that happens is people turn that on and they have over on the bottom right, they have their headphones all the way off. And that same button that says headphones for the last 20 years, if you look below the word headphones in tiny print, it says monitors. I don't know if Robert's going over that way or not.
Well, I think that was a
Good exercise workout.
Hold on. Let me see.
Okay.
I'm going to make some of you dizzy. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to send you a bill. I'm going to get paid extra for all this extra camera work. All right. Do you see it there?
You know what? These are little things people miss.
This is actually a
What's it
very
say
important.
on
This
that?
is not a little thing, Eric. This is actually a very important thing. I'm glad you're bringing this up. This now once people know what this does, then they know what to do with it. But I can't tell you how many times someone has called me and said, you know, it's so bright on top, or mine it didn't sound like this on my other model, and a lot of times what'll happen, for whatever reason, they'll get their organ delivered or whatever, and this may be turned all the way down. And what happens is this turns off the speakers off the top.
Upper part.
Even if you have the virtual speaker button on. The virtual speaker doesn't turn on these speakers. It creates a different effect, okay? So even if the virtual speakers button is off, you're still getting sound from top, but just in a different effect. This turns the volume up or down. Now, believe it or not, depending in like apartments and things like that, everybody, it's preference, but I always tell people turn this all the way up, because what'll happen is the more sound you hear coming from up here, the more you hear coming at your ears, you tend to play the volume softer because you can hear more. So if you can hear more coming at you and you're playing softer, you're still getting the same effect as if you were turning this all the way down and having to play it louder. In fact, it's gonna, if you have close neighbors, then it will bother them some. Does that make sense? So right there, it's either a headphone volume when you're using the headphones. If you're not using headphones, it's the monitor volume that's up on the top speakers. Was that good?
Again, I cannot tell you how many people's houses I've been to, and I look over there and it's turned all the way off, because you think, hey, I'm not using headphones, I might as well just turn the knob off. But you think about that sound hitting you in the face versus all that all your speakers are underneath. You don't have any ears on your knees, so what happens is that sound has to go find the wall and come back to you, or you turn up the volume on your monitor speakers. It's a whole lot easier, and it sounds better. Everybody who turns that up loves it. All right, any questions on that? No?
It's a good time to ask a question before we go on.
Pointing.
Let me look on the screen. You have your raise your hand feature. You could actually raise your hands. You know, I'm looking, Eric. Oh, there's one, but
All right.
I could tell some of these
Oh.
already look musically smarter. Mr. Papa, are you
Yes.
raising your hand or are you waving hi?
No, I'm doing both.
Okay, hi.
No, that virtual speaker. Could you elaborate a little bit on that? How much it adds to the music? Or
Let me. It's a hard one to explain, but let me do my best. The best way I like to explain it is through example of TV. Last year, my Vizio TV that I had from 2004 finally stopped working. And so I went to Walmart. They had a sale going on. It was, around 4th of July. So I found another Vizio. And remarkably, I found a overall smaller size TV physically, but the screen was larger. And because back in 2004, it took a lot more components and speakers and things like that. And my old TV was heavy. I went to Walmart and I did the dimensions on the screen, and I got it home, and I started looking at it, and I got really nervous. And I started to think, where the heck's the sound coming out? Do I have to buy an extra sound bar and all this extra other stuff? And lo and behold, there was sound coming out of the TV. Now, I don't know where it comes out of, because if you look at it, imagine this being the TV, a 42, 47 inch. The frame is so thin. So somewhere in that TV, there's these speakers.
It looks like it's all sealed in, doesn't it?
I don't know. I just know that when I got volume, I felt safe. I was like, whew. And when I turn it up to like 34 or 40, there's sound that comes out of this that's very impressive. And it's almost like a virtual speaker concept. And what it does is it creates a different type of stereo effect where it opens up the sound and makes your ears hear the sound differently. When you think about some of the organs, like Eric's sitting at looks like a Royale or Stardust. Eric?
Stardust.
Okay.
Stardust.
So he's sitting at a Stardust. I'm sitting at a Symphony. I have a Prestige here. All those models, virtually all of the top of the line models have 15 speakers built into it. There's all the speakers here. You have two monitors, some a little bit less. But when you get to 15 speakers in the console, can you add more speakers to the console? I guess you could, but where does it become too much, you know? So what Lowry did is they created this virtual speaker concept where it takes the sound that already sounds good and it kind of opens it up and makes it create what's called a stereo effect. Now, if I keep talking to you and I do this, let me take this little pamphlet here. Can you hear me okay as I'm talking to you?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you still hear what I'm saying?
A little muffled, but fine.
A little muffled, but you can still hear me, can't you?
Yeah, yeah,
You can still hear me. You
yeah,
can still hear me, right?
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying is I'm talking at the same volume, but the sound, the tone sounds a little bit different. So what it does is it takes already what's a great sound and just makes it even better, and it kind of opens it up into a what I call a stereo effect.
You're
It's
talking about
not
clarity, really.
Yeah, and it's not so dramatic that when you hear it, you go, "Oh, that's too much." It's like just perfect. And I think part of the reason why, you know, Eric said, I always, when I turn it on, that's the first thing I turn on. And I think it's just so that people have the preference of how they want it to be for their ears. Because sometimes people have it on and it's just a little bit too much. So just a preference thing. And it ties into the monitor speaker volume that Eric was talking about.
Which I ignored totally.
You'd be surprised how much that's going to make a difference.
I bet.
Turn that up, turn it down, halfway. Sometimes when I'm playing, I'll actually do two settings. If I got something really bright, I'll reach over and put my monitors about 12 o'clock, halfway. And when I got some of the deeper tones, I'll crank it up so it brightens it up a little bit and I can hear a little bit more. These things, I have to tell you, I have to commend Eric because he's talking about things that we typically, these are like functional things. Now, if I try to demonstrate the monitor speaker to you through the internet, it won't work because you're going to still get the sound that's coming out of the organ. Doing this works when you sit down on it, put on a rhythm, just start the C chord, and then turn it up or down as you're playing. Now, some of you have speakers on top, like marquee owners, Arias, Liberty. You have the flaps that open up. That just enhances that even more. Okay, so that's a lot of talk about headphone monitor and virtual, but let's face it, when the organ you have right now, one of the reasons why you got it is because it sounded great. Yes, you got it for all the features, you got it for these presets, but you also liked it because of the sound. And when you're sitting there in the center of your orchestra, it's always good to kind of tweak the sound a little bit to give you different effects. And sometimes all it means is turning this thing up or down, hitting an equalizer button and pressing one on the screen, or touching the virtual speakers. And you know what? They're all going to sound okay. You may like one or the other, and it's foolproof. Now, Eric, what happens if they goof up and they really don't like what they did? You just push the home button or reset button and you start from scratch. But that's a long answer for your question, James, but I just wanted to kind of expand on it a little bit more.
You did a fantastic job of explaining it, let me tell you.
Thank you. And we're recording this. You remember, I did a great job explaining it. Well, Eric is doing a great job at bringing up these points. I'll tell you, I'm taking notes here.
Robert?
Yes?
This is Marianne Townsend. On my machine,
Find you. Where are you? There you are. Okay, yes?
they don't have a reverb, they don't have an equalizer, and they don't have a virtual
What organ do you have again?
legacy. I don't see any buttons on
You
there.
do have, on the legacy, I think you do have a reverb.
Whereabouts? Because I don't see anything that says
It should be on the left side. You don't have virtual speakers, but you do have a reverb. Yes, you do. Towards the left, next to the master volume. In fact, the reverb is in the same place on most of the models. And it's typically to the left side of the instrument next to the master volume in that vicinity. So yes, even the Legacy has reverb. Now,
I don't have any that side. I have no buttons on the side like that. All of my instruments are straight ahead. There's nothing that I see
on the left side of your organ, you have two buttons up and down that say reverb.
I'm going to go take a look.
Well, before you go there, hold on.
Yeah.
And then what you don't have is the individual reverb types, but you do have one reverb built into it that you can create the amount and however much you want. The other thing you have, the Legacy, is the first model that in the spinet size, if you will, that has a headphone / monitor volume.
Yeah, I found that.
Okay.
I'm not questioning that because I found that, but I
now,
didn't find
if you want to check real quick to see if that next to the master, there's a button that says reverb, but if you really think you don't have it, I'll bet you buy your next organ that it is on there. Just kidding. Go ahead and check real quick, and you'll find it on there. Okay. You go ahead and do that right now. While she's doing that, are there any other questions? Okay. She's going to come back in a moment, and she'll be very delighted to hear that she has that reverb up and down volume. And I'm going to replace. Eric looks like he's getting angry because I'm taking up a little of his time. Look at that angry face.
It's an important thing. You know, your monitor speakers are overlooked by so many people. If she come back.
I found it.
All right.
But I didn't find the equalizer. Where's the equalizer?
That one is not on the Legacy.
Oh, okay.
That one, but
you do have monitor speakers. You have your monitor speakers are sort of mid-chip, and it's the same headphone knob that is going to control the volume of those monitor speakers.
Okay.
You with me?
I think so. I'm fairly new at all this. Yeah.
All right.
All right, and someone just raised their hand, Eric. Lourdes?
Okay.
Are you raising your hand? I can't see you. Let me ask them mute, see if they have a question. Oh, okay, if you can unmute and ask, feel free to do so. Okay, Eric, back to you.
Okay, so I really, really recommend all of you find that headphone monitor knob, play around. Like Robert said, turn on any stuff, not important what you're playing at that time. Just turn it until you say, ooh, for my ears, not his ears, not her ears, but for your ears, this is where it sounds the best for me. Same story on the reverb, same story on all of it. So let's recap for a minute. We have, if you have a big window instrument, you have 11 pages of features. What's on this one is going to be on the same page as that one, or the same page on the one around the corner. So they kept that really cool. So you should go through, because what happens if you mess everything up? Robert?
You could either turn it off or hit your home button or hit the reset button.
Yeah.
Or you can call Eric and
you don't have to worry about it.
Or you can call Eric and complain.
That's right. And I'm happy. You know, Marlene, she's over there waving, but she's every day. She's calling, wanting, how do I do this? How do I do that? And you know what? If you're not making those calls, shame on you. Because here's an opportunity for you to, on a one-on-one basis, even if it's over the phone, get an answer to a question that maybe you have.
Okay, we have a question.
So we're going back.
Hold on one second. Is it Lourdes?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to know, I'm sorry, I would like to know if you have those features on the Royale, because I'm not familiar with those monitor, the knob that you turn all the way up. Does the Royale have those features?
Your Royale has the
It
reverb
does.
up and down. You have the feature shortcut that he mentioned. You have the monitor volume
Right.
on the right with the headphone. You do not have the equalizer or the virtual speakers, but you
Right.
got 3 out of the 5, if I counted right.
Okay, I do not
Right. And
remember.
your monitor speakers. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do not actually remember, because actually what happened is I haven't seen my organ for almost a year now, because right now I am here in New York and my organ is in Chandler, Arizona. Is because of the pandemic thing. I couldn't be traveling back and forth. So I like that this class is offered, so at least I have some information. And then by the time I go back to Chandler, then I would be able, that's why I'm taking pictures, because I do not know how to record what you are teaching on my cell
I'm going to
phone.
tell you how to go back and watch these in a moment. But I'll tell you, if you do enough of these classes, by the time you get back, you're going to be an expert.
Okay, I hope so.
Well, and you know the other thing? I have
Yeah.
great news for you. We ship to New York. Right,
You
Robert?
ship
We're
to New
still
York?
shipping to New York, aren't we?
Oh,
Yes, we
really?
do.
So if you want, if you'd
I
like a
would like-
Royale up there or even something smaller, we ship.
Oh, I would like
And there's
some
no
information.
sales tax.
I would like to talk to you on separate times. I do not want to, like the other class to be, but I'll talk to you regarding that. Okay.
Perfect.
So thank you so
Okay,
much.
well, we're here for you. By the way,
Okay.
if you have a Royale or a Stardust and you're looking, going, I don't seem to have any monitor speakers, they are tucked over here on the right and the left. If you reach up there, you'll feel the speaker grill material. And
Okay.
so they're there. Just after these models, they made them even more present. So,
Okay.
Robert, do you have anything else you would like me to do?
Nope. Maybe play a song in a minute, but did we answer everybody's questions? Anybody else have any
Yeah.
other questions?
Very informative. Very informative.
Very
Good.
good.
Yes.
I'm going to just give you a couple quick announcements, and Lourdes, pay
Okay,
very
good.
close attention,
Yes.
because I'm going to screen share in a moment. Give me just a second here. Let me find it. There's several ways you can go back and watch some of these classes, or all of them.
Yeah, this is good.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is screen share. I'm going to mute you for a moment, Eric, so I don't keep echoing. All right, so I'm going to screen share. First of all, we have multiple ways that you can access some of this information. The first way is if you go on the internet and you go to YouTube, if you see that there, type in youtube.com/Fletcher Music Centers. That's our YouTube page. And about 50% of our classes are posted here, and you can view them by playlist. So if you go to this playlist feature here, you'll see we have beginner classes, we have Song of the Month, Joni's virtual classes, some of Don's virtual classes. Now, not all of Don's and Joni's of the classes are publicly available, but you can see there's quite a few. There's 102 of these that Don did last year in 2020. And then if you go a little further down, there is, or somewhere on here, there's a virtual product feature class in here that has all of the product feature classes. Now, the other thing we have is what's called Patreon. And if you go to patreon.com/Fletcher Music Centers, if I could say it right, it'll bring you to this page. And if you're a Patreon member, you'll be able to see all of these videos, like the lovely Joni Monero there, and etc. If it's blank, it may say you become a patron, but everything we do is on this page. And if you have a favorite person that you like maybe Joni, you like to see all of her classes, if you're a patron, you click on this, you could actually search, like right here, it says Joni. And I think there's another one that says Joni Monero in here. But you can click on all, you can see like there's 7 that's labeled under Joni. There's 22 under Joni Monero. And if you click on that, it'll show all of the classes that Joni taught or played or in a concert, okay, etc. So there are multiple ways to access all of our pre-recorded classes and concerts. And then YouTube has about, I want to say about 50% of that content. And on our Patreon site, there's bonus content as well. So there's extra videos and classes and little tips that we put on there that you won't find in a class like this. All right. And last but not least, while I got you looking on the screen here, I want to remind everybody that next Wednesday, May 5th, you're all invited. Drum and I are going to be playing a spectacular, oh, look at this. They called us world-class performers. I'm the one who made the flyer, so I had to really stroke my ego a little bit. We're going to perform a concert on an instrument we normally do, so the music's going to be great classics, music from yesteryear, but it's going to sound a little bit different. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you'll get some reminders on that. So with that said, Mr. Eric Garson has a closing number for all of you. You're going to play a song for us for today.
Unmuting myself.
And you're going to use some reverb settings and some features and some monitor speaker volumes and all of that. I don't know if you'll be able to tell through the internet, but they'll be doing it. You're unmuted, so go ahead and play us a song.
All right, so I'm going to play one of the hardest songs that we have. Anybody want to guess? Come on.
Marianne.
Marianne. Who said that?
Ramon.
Why not? Because all I want to do is I want to give you some examples. So here's Marianne. Now I'm just going to listen for a minute and I'm going to turn down the bass. In fact, you know what? Every one of these instruments works the same way. And so before I perform, I'd rather teach something to you. Every one of these has a genie, Orc Plus, a drummer, a bass player, and what? So I'm going to pick a busy rhythm. And I'm going to turn off genie, Orc Plus, the bass player, and get rid of the drummer. Can you guys hear that lovely humming sound? Anybody know what that sound is?
No.
What? It's your chord. So you can go to lower tabs if you have tabs. The quick way is just turn that off, and that gets rid of that. So the genie, or what's the new version for the genie, Robert?
Basic.
Basic, right. So if I touch that, that guy's job is to keep the beat. And almost always it's going to be a piano or a guitar. The Orc Plus button is going to be all your fancy players. Now, if I want to fix everything at one shot, my choices are, again, it's just a renaming. It's either the preset or style setup. I'm going to turn it off and back on. And Everything is rebalanced. The great news is, and I wish I could zoom in so you could see this, but if I use rhythm preset 1 or 2, it automatically turns off my fancy player. So let you see that. When I go to 1, it simplified it. When I go to 2, it did a drum variation, but it still kept Orc Plus off. 3 brings it back. So can you guys see what I'm talking about there? One of the things that I learned years ago is that if you start with the smaller numbers, 1 or 2, it is going to simplify that background. And how's it doing it? It's doing it because it's turning off your Orc Plus. Okay? And then the bigger numbers are going to give you bigger sounds. And how's the bigger sounds happening? Typically different kinds of reverb, but in 3 minutes, we don't have enough time to talk about reverb for that. So, Robert, do you have any ending statements, or Sean?
No, I wanted you to play a song. You want me to play a song?
Oh, sure.
Sure, you're going to play? We can't just end.
You're going to play, and I'm going to finish with a customer while you play the
Okay,
song.
I'll play a song. I hope I know something that will entertain these delightful folks.
Marianne is a really good choice, I'm just saying.
I'm going to do Marianne, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Okay, maybe someday I'll have to teach a class on this. I'm going to do what's called, I learned a long time ago, one of our teachers said, he used the term married chords. Okay, and basically in the song Marianne, as an example, you know, it goes from C to G, C to G. Okay, and so a lot of times what we'll tell people, if they want some extra chords without making it too hard, what we'll do is a simple instruction we'll tell is throw in a D minor before the G. Okay, so if you have, for example, and I'm going to play this so you see if you can hear it. Let me pull it up here for you so you can hear Conductor Magic. And then when I play this, I'm going to spice it up. I'm going to do it like a samba or I don't know, something upbeat. All right, so here's the song Marianne. Can you see Marianne there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we'll tell people to do, and again, this is basic chords, not, you know, augmented. So if you're playing a song, you want to spice up a song like this a little bit, All Day, All Night, Marianne, you can replace this G with a D minor or D minor 7th. But the trick is you have to come back and put the G in there somewhere. So a song like this would be, you know, if I wanted, I could do, let me play it manually for a second. That's the way it normally is. What I'm going to do when I play it with the rhythm is going to be this. D minor, G. And I can do it again. D minor, G. You hear the difference? So when I play Marianne, it's not going to be your typical Marianne song because I'm going to throw in a couple of those chords, and I'll include that little tidbit when I post this video, which will be in a few days. When it gets posted, I'll put in all the topics that we taught today as a reminder, and then I'll throw in the little bit of extra little tidbit about the married chords, and you can have some fun trying that out with your music. Just remember this: if you try it out and you see a song in the key of C, and you're going to throw in a D minor in place of the G, you have to remember to bring back the G. You're not getting divorced. It's a married chord. We're not divorcing the chords. We're not separating them either. It's okay. I'm just making that part up as I go. I'm trying to make some relevance. So, all right. So here we go. I'm going to do it with a Latin. Let's see. How about something like, oh, we'll do it mambo style. Ooh. I have my reverb all the way up, so let me turn that on. Okay, here we go. D minor, G, D minor, D minor, G7, D minor, G. All right, let's pick it up a little bit. Now see if you can see my hands. You can go back and watch this. Let me move the video here, camera. And at the very end of the song, I'm going to do a different chord progression that I learned from Mr. Marco Mendez. Maybe some of you know him. And he does this a lot in his songs, and I notice a lot of artists. So see if you can catch it. You can go back and watch it, but I'll do the chords that I just mentioned. Oh. Thank you. Did you catch that little chord progression? So you have to go back at the end. You have to go back and watch the video. I'll tell you what it is, I think. Let me see. So when I played at the very end, I went from, let's see. And then it ends on C in the music. Okay, instead I went A minor, then I went down one note to the B, A flat, which becomes an A flat augmented, C chord, and then this, F sharp minor 7 flat to 5th. Woo!
My goodness.
Anyway, for those of you who want some little extra chords in there.
Oh,
Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully you learned something, had one thing to take home with you. We had some great tips. I'll post this up there. I'll put up the bullet points of what we talked about. In the meantime, stay safe, keep playing music, and mwah.
Can you answer one question for me before you go, since class is over?
Let me think about it. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, good. All right. You have a blue lanyard with a USB stick on the bottom of it. That one, yeah, that's the guy. Now, presumably that has music stored in there of some sort.
It has my presets and some music, some recordings. Uh-huh.
If you had music on that and you wanted to play it on that particular instrument, which looks like a symphony.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Can you show me, after you put it in, what do you have to do to make it play through there?
Play a song?
Yes.
Oh, that was an easy one. Are you ready for this?
I am.
First, you insert USB.
Yep.
Second,
Right.
you come over here to the right and you push play.
Oh, no kidding. That's it?
Well, wait, let me see. And then it'll pull up the songs on the USB if there are any, and then you press play again.
Really? So I don't have to go through the screen to load the USB?
That's if you're loading presets.
Ah,
But
that's
if it
what I
has recorded songs on there, you just put it in, especially if you're putting in for the first time, you push play and it'll activate, it'll access, and then all the songs will show up. And then you can either scroll and start on one, or if you just press play again, it'll start playing whatever's on there.
You've made my day better.
There you go.
Okay.
All
Robert,
right. Yes.
Robert, this is Dan Nasuda from Baltimore.
Hey, Dan.
This show has been not only entertaining, but really enlightening. And I had to thank you and Eric. I'm sitting here just enjoying myself.
That's great.
Thanks a lot.
Coming all the way from Maryland, everybody.
That's right.
All the way
That's
from Maryland.
me.
That's right. Well, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed. We'll see you real soon. And take care. Stay safe. Keep playing music. And I'll do this one more time. Mwah.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Okay, let's see what D-line.